Do you want to achieve your max? Check out cardomax.com, owned and operated by former Navy SEAL Sean Matson. They've got a couple different products that you guys can check out. They've got the Energy Intensifier, which is filled with BCAAs, B12, B6, and 200 milligrams of caffeine in 4 different flavors: watermelon, grape, pink raspberry, or blue raspberry rather, and pink lemonade. They also have hydration ones that has a whole bunch of stuff in it, but there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce it because I couldn't even pronounce some other stuff that I did in some prior promo codes. So the hydration stuff has raspberry and lemon lime, really good. And then if you need some help with your immune system, they also have immune boosters that are in the orange and watermelon. They have a whole bunch of vitamin C and some other things in it to help you out. And they also have a recovery solution that you can use that comes in a cherry lime and a grape. And these have a whole bunch of BCAAs and vitamins in it as well. So please go check them out. Their stuff tastes really good. I really enjoy it. I try and tailor back from the caffeine a little bit just because I find myself just dumping a whole bunch of packets in there because they taste so good. So it's nice to kind of get a variety pack, if you will, because at least I can try the Energy Intensifier in the morning or kind of when I'm dying in the afternoon. And then late at night, when I still want some flavor in my water, I throw in the immune booster or even the recovery drinks. And then who doesn't need hydration? So check them out. Promo code One's Ready at checkout will get you a discount. They support us, so we support them. We don't get anything from it, but definitely go check them out because their stuff is on fire. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. We have some returning guests. If you're not familiar with it, Deepend Fitness is all over Sports Center. You've seen it all over the gram. And now we have Prime Hall and Don Tran back for round 2. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks again for having us on the show, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys are doing some great stuff out there, all that underwater. I mean, it's, let's be real, people are intimidated by it. They see some of the things you guys are doing underwater and some of the training you're doing. And I mean, it's not your typical stuff that, Planet Fitness or, 24-hour fitness or whatever it is that they're doing. So you guys are doing some pretty incredible stuff. I argue groundbreaking, but I mean, you guys are probably swim team guys like me. So you kind of grew up doing that stuff, right?
Opposite,
yeah. We were not on swim teams. We were not in water polo. We just pretty much picked it up in the military, to be honest.
Yeah. And on that, like that's why, like, I mean, I feel like my body type is not a swimmer's body type. I'm kind of like a brick or a refrigerator body type. And so, but I was with one of our mentors is Coach David Marsh. He's one of the best Olympic swim coaches of all time. And I was at lunch with him 2 weeks ago. He's been mentoring us since we started the programs, but he's like, man, that's my favorite thing about what you guys do is that you guys coming from not a swimmer's background and you've created this program and you have to use the principles for you to be as effective as possible in the water. And that's, powerful for anybody because it's built for non-swimmers.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's wild. I grew up on swim team, but I only did, a couple of years as a young little kid. And then obviously going through the military pipeline, very similar to you guys, because we do a lot of underwater stuff, especially at dive school and pre-dive and that kind of stuff. And I always enjoyed playing the games, sharks and minnows, underwater hockey, but you guys are actually threw in the whole torpedo league thing of that, which is awesome to see because it seems like it's really taken off.
Yeah. So Don and I were both water survival instructors back on Camp Pendleton and one of the marine pools at Camp Horno, which is one of the most active pools. And back about 13 years ago, and we just got so many reps, thousands of reps of when we were instructors there of Marines coming through to do their water confidence. And so we, you always want to see, you don't want to send people out with them failing or them, being unqualified. So you're always trying to do whatever you can to get them a win and get them a go and get them a pass, for their water confidence so they can deploy and at least meet the bare minimum standards. But then if they can, to advance them, et cetera. So one of the things that we found, especially when we were training our instructors that would come in that were high level guys from a sniper unit or wherever they were coming from that maybe didn't have the water confidence, that we wanted to, we found that training them and training non-swimmers, if you could take someone's focus and put it on something else, like the object, like the torpedo, that'll shift their focus from being on their fears and their anxiety. And then all of a sudden, like kind of, it steals their focus away and it kind of hypnotizes them to unlock results and performance. So,
are you guys seeing, people that aren't necessarily swimmers and not necessarily comfortable in the water, like coming and joining in and just getting right into the mix?
Yes. I would say like it's 50-50 from people that are swimmers or have some type of water background that come and enjoy it. But the other demographic of people that come is people that are non-swimmers that want to learn how to swim, that might be scared to go take a swimming lesson because they're going to the swimming lesson with their kids and they don't want that kind of stigma of like, hey, I'm going to learn how to swim as well. But I think we have a completely different flavor and mentality of how we teach water confidence. Instead of like, hey, let's jump in the pool and do swim strokes, but instead of like, hey, let's jump in the pool, find out where the bottom is and find out you're not going to die and give you some survival skills to just survive on your own first, and then kind of make that into take step by step. A building block approach is what we always try to do and get them confident in the water. And by 6 weeks or something like that, they're doing 25 meters underwater. Some of them are doing 50 meters underwater, and that's a huge kind of threshold that the military kind of stands by. Like, hey, if you could do 50 meters underwater, you're going to be okay to pass this course or whatever it is, or dive school or whatever that is. So
isn't that funny how the 50-meter underwater is kind of like the pinnacle or and it transfers across all the services. Everybody's like, oh, you gotta do a 50, and that's the measurement. It's funny. Yeah.
So we're doing a study right now out of ASU with Dr. Jamie Tyler on kind of the benefits of the program that we're having. So we ran it. We started in August last year or something like that, Prime. But we've had 40 participants go through by the end of 2021. Our goal is to probably hit another 40 before the study ends in like June or something like that. But we have Jerome, which is like a Olympic level swimmer. He's coming out and helping us do all the study. He's doing it for like a master's program, but he's coming out to all our pool locations and doing these tests on people. And he came to one pool in Irvine, and I was there that day, and everybody out of like 13 people did 50-meter underwater crossovers, from like 14-year-old kids to 50-year-old dudes. Everyone's doing 50s now. So it's like crazy to kind of see like that type of a community that we're trying to build, which is awesome, but everyone's doing it. So it's not like 50 meters is like that level anymore. It's like people are trying to do 75 and some people are making it and it's like blown out of the water.
Yeah. We had one guy hit 100 underwater last year, Marcus.
Yeah. He's an Olympic swimmer,
I bet that guy's efficiency underwater is next level. Yeah. I mean, he's probably doing maybe 4 to 6 strokes to get across the pool and one length.
He's doing 3 for 25. Yeah. I
mean, so that burning of O2 in your body is minimal for him. So 100 meters is probably, just to do that.
Which is crazy.
And on the mindset part of that, I just think that it's a lot about it. There's a lot of glass ceilings that we all have as humans walking around that I could never hold my breath for more than 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes. I could never go without food for 7 days. I could never go without sleep for 5 days. I could never carry a 300-pound, I could never, whatever that is. But it's just like the mile time, when the person broke, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, that now everybody sees that. And then that shatters that glass ceiling. So now people are showing up when I went to water instructor course in the Marine Corps, they're like telling us like people die doing the 50 meter, you know, and it's like the hardest thing and blah, blah, blah. But the way that we're showing it is like, hey, you have to systematically build up. You start from, you know, starting from being in the circle of trust with us and telling us your swim level and your goals, to going into treading, to going into systematically going and clearing your ears, touching the bottom, to, you know, picking up a mask, to swimming a 25 meter. And then we're building block approach, two-way systematic training to get you to a 50. But we're showing you, if you go there, like Don says, and you see 13 people hitting a 50, and there's 14-year-old kids and whatever else that are doing it safely and in a process, that kind of opens up, you know, possibility for you as approach. And like another thing that I've learned is that, you know, when we first started, we would do bobs, you know, in the pool. And sometimes we're using a 13, 14-foot pool. And we would tell them like, hey, at dive school, we do this, you know, and we only do 10 bobs, and then we do this, or we do whatever that is. And so they would think like, oh my gosh, 10 bobs is so much. But now if you frame it like this and everybody gets in, hey, we're going to warm up with 3 minutes of bobs, you know, and everybody just, once you see us doing it, just get into the flow, make sure you get a good breath and just get into that system. And then everybody does 3 minutes, you know? So I think a big part is how you frame it, and just also the social proof of people seeing other people do it with ease, or, you know?
Yeah, well, I agree with you about breaking that whole glass ceiling. Like it only takes one or two people to finally prove the community wrong, and now all of a sudden, you know, that marathon, that sub 2 hour marathon's being broken, or that 50 meter or that 100 meter underwater is being broken, and now people can see it, and it's like, great, okay, on to the next. Like, what's the next barrier that no one could possibly do, and do it. Now, going back to what you guys are kind of doing, the way I understand it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's essentially 3 ways that people can get into your programs. You've got like they can actually go and attend some of the pool sessions that you guys do. You guys have got the book, right? And then you also do some online programming. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So last year we switched kind of our business model to like renting and operating all our own pools. And that was a lot of work and finding the right instructors. But we switched over to more of a CrossFit affiliate model, where someone can come into our program like, hey, I love what you guys are doing, I want to run my own pool. So we kind of transitioned into that, and that's been really successful for us, because the people that are coming and wanting to run their own programs are CrossFit box owners. There are surf club people, dive or free diving guys. So they come in with their own community already. They start a pool, they take our program, and they make their own gains in their own community, which is awesome to see. So that's one way. So either they can come train our sessions, or they can start their own pools. Another way is, like you said, we have a book, which is a For Your Mind guidebook. And we do some online coaching and just working other professionals, people that don't come to the pool, and still using the same principles of free, which is focus, relaxation, economy of motion, and efficient breathing, and using it in their everyday life, not just in the water. So, and the last way is our online programs, which is, we're trying to put on a platform right now of being more interactive than just a PDF, like ebook that you kind of see most online programs are right now. So those are different ways. And then we have the sports league as well. But you got to be at the pools for that one.
Yeah, you're not going to do that on your own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the stuff that people see sometimes on social media or on the website, it's like focused around, you know, the crazy performance, or something that's kind of like can be a little bit intimidating to some people that are starting out. But, you know, a lot of what we do, we train all skill levels. We train a lot of professional athletes and Olympians and different coaches and whatnot, out in the pool and outside of the pool with the mindset work. But we also train a lot of challenged athletes. We train a lot of injured, you know, veterans and people coming out, breaking through PTSD or PTS as well as, people coming back with catastrophic injuries, lost their legs. Now they're relearning how to swim with us, or they had a stroke and now the left side of their body doesn't work. And now they're relearning how to swim, and we're building out new kind of innovative swim strokes that they can use, on one side and the other, and just basically integrating them into something that's, going to transform them. And not just like the pool, like everything that we do in the pool, it's to unlock results for them in every aspect of their life, with their professional life, their personal life, their relationships and everything, and their life engagement. So, when we have these breakthroughs at the pool, like, oh, wow, like someone comes up and they're like, I never thought I could do 2-minute breath hold, or I never thought I'd get 3 minutes, or I never thought I could do a 50 or whatever. Usually we're like, okay, well, what else can't you do? What else do you think that you couldn't do that you can go do now? What else is possible for you that you can go unlock?
Yeah. So, and we talked about this when you're on last, about people that are in areas that don't necessarily have either access to a pool, or the fact that, COVID happened to shut down. Maybe they're in an area that is adhering to more restrictions than other areas. So, and you went through some breathing exercises with us last time, but like, do you still, that's a really bad way to ask the question, but like, what are some ways, basically, some additional ways that you didn't cover last time that people can, work on their breathing while they don't have access to a pool, that will help translate to efficiencies in the pipeline, or at dive school, pre-dive, or just, hey, in the underwater torpedo league?
Yeah. So a lot of it is, anywhere that wherever you're at, you can do breath work and you can do breath holding. And it's, we have for the free system, we call it the free operating system, but essentially, wherever you're at throughout your day, sometimes you're going to get into these like default networks, and where you feel kind of like on autopilot, and you kind of have a shallow depth of focus, and you want to become fully present, and you want to engage your breathing to start to really like take control of your mind top down. Right. So whatever breath work that you want to do, whether it's the upper regulation. So we'll just go through a little bit real quick. So in through the nose, out through the mouth for about 20 seconds, like that's usually one of the key primary warm-ups that we do before we get into training. And that usually closes out those extra tabs that you have open in your mind, of like all the things that you did before that during the day, and then all the things that you have after, and all the other kind of to-do list and the things, because we want to be singularly focused on one tab. If you think of your mind like a computer, we want to be focused on one thing at a time. That's going to unlock the deepest level of focus. And for the breathing, basically, you want to gather some type of baseline on your breathing. So, get yourself warmed up, and then, get a good clear all your air out. And we really stress the diaphragmatic breathing, and using your diaphragm and starting from the bottom, and not the chest breathing. The chest is shallow breathing, and it also enhances fight or flight more. We want to utilize the diaphragm and the low kind of belly breathing, right, for all of that. So taking the biggest breath that you can and doing a hold, and then holding as long as you can, with someone monitoring you, or, safely doing it to a point that what your baseline is. So you're like, okay, I know I can hold my breath for 1.5 minutes. That's where I'm starting from, or a minute or third, whatever it is. Another thing that you can do that's a good metric is get yourself warmed up with breathing, and then do a max set of push-ups while holding your breath. So you clear all your dirty air out, you clear all your air out, and then max set of push-ups, see what your max is, and then that's another baseline assessment tool that you can use. And then once you have your baseline, then you can start to build your CO2 in different areas, like doing the underwater training, or when you're running, just using nasal breathing instead of mouth breathing. That also builds CO2. walking around your, wherever you live and doing a certain amount of paces while holding your breath, and then building that up, and doing it more and more. And then all those things translate into CO2. And Don can talk a little bit about some of the stuff we learned from Brian McKenzie about how CO2 impacts how you handle stress.
Yeah. So, I mean, realistically is like breath work. I mean, like two things that you could do that happens automatically in your body is blinking and breathing that you can actually control, right? Like you can't control your digestive system. You can't control your cortisol levels. You can't control your stress levels. But with breathing, it just helps you tap into a different mental state, right? So if you're stressed out, you slow down your breathing, you focus on your breathing, or you do the warm-up breathing, whatever it is, you put your focus on one specific thing, which is your breath work. That takes your mind off of different things. And actually breathing controls or helps you regulate like the amount of stress or the hormones that are bouncing off in your body. So just like Prime said, that's, the easiest way to tap into that system and bring that stress level down. So all we're doing when we're doing it in the pool is like, hey, we're going to hold our breaths, and that's just putting you in an uncomfortable situation and forcing you to, hey, make sure I take a full diaphragmatic breath before I go down underwater, and bring my mental mind into a different state before I go down underwater. And that translates to when we're outside in other stressful situations, whether we're in a gunfight, we're in an argument with our loved ones or whatever that is. We just slow our breathing down and we take some full diaphragmatic breaths. We think about controlling our breathing. It's going to put us in a different mental state than, hey, us really getting pissed off and reacting in a negative way. So that's pretty much all it is for us. And everybody can practice that everywhere you go. For me, instead of like, if I'm super tired, I'm driving like down the 5, down to Prime's house, down to San Diego, or whatever it is, like a way for me to refocus and wake up is to that upper regulation breathing, fast inhales, fast exhales to speed up my breathing a little bit to bring my focus back on. If I want to calm down, I can do like a box breathing pattern or whatever other breathing patterns, slow inhales through my nose, slow exhales through my mouth.
It's funny that you, Prime, you mentioned the push-ups, because just last week we recorded with another strength and conditioning coach, and he had talked about like if you want to understand your kind of capacity, like if you want to test your capacity right now and your efficiency in running and breathing and stuff like that, he's like, take a mouthful of water and go out for a mile run. He goes, and you can only breathe through your nose. He goes, that's a good to understand your baseline of breathing and stuff like that, which is essentially what, very similar to what you're talking about with the push-ups. But I also find myself, Don, you talked about a firefight, right? But those times I've never had issues with breathing or anything like that. The times I have issues is if I'm not doing much of anything and I'm just sitting here, and then I'll find like, hey, I'm not breathing. Like, what the hell's going on with that? It's just
you're built different, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you're just kind of hanging out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I got to breathe. It's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's a TBI thing. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying with that, and that's part of what we were saying with that, with how you get into these default networks, and then you're like, you're just like you're operating at a lower, but it's also kind of like you go into low power mode a little bit, like your body kind of puts you into these low power mode and low focus zones, and then you're like, okay, I have a task now, or I have something out, so I'm on this call with you guys, like I gotta wake up, I gotta turn on, so yeah, it's awesome, brother.
Yeah, like I said, that's random and weird and just an insight into some of the things that I deal with, but yeah, I'll figure it out. So yeah. Now that you've gone to the kind of, we just call it the CrossFit kind of model where you have affiliates, are all these affiliates can all be found on your website, right? We can just go in and plug in our zip code or something like that, and then we can figure out where the closest pool session is happening?
Yes. Just go to deependfitness.com and then click the locations tab, and it shows all our affiliates on there.
Yeah, we also have an app now that has all the locations and training times, etc., that people can and they can sign up right there. They can sign up for a session. They can get everything dialed in. That's like hands-free. That way they just show up to the session and they're ready to roll.
No kidding. Okay, I wasn't really tracking that, but that's good to know. And we'll make sure we post that. But I'm really hoping to get in. So I'm potentially moving to Las Vegas this summer, and yeah, so I'm really hoping to get in on some of these torpedo leagues and some of these pool sessions.
Yes.
Yeah, we're launching our Vegas location on February 17th. We have a UFC fighter out there that he's going to be leading the program out there. His name is
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
You guys have got some pretty high profile folks attending your pool sessions. Like it's interesting to see because you guys maintain some privacy for them, but at the same time, like they're also, posting things and stuff like that. And you're like, no kidding. I see you guys walking around in the background or walking, a crowd, you got everybody circled up and you're walking through everybody through some breathing techniques and stuff like that. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of buy-in on this, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I think it's because most athletes or like professional athletes have access to the best physical training that they possibly can already. And I think our program offers something different from the mental aspect of it, which is a huge part of competition in sport as well. Like what mindset are you going into fourth quarter? Like I would like when I was watching the playoffs like 2 weeks ago for the NFL, the Chiefs against the Bills games, like there was like 6 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes. I'm like, these guys are performing at the highest level right now in like with seconds to go in the game, and just watching that, like that's what they're looking for. Like that's what, like everybody could throw a football when they're in practice like perfectly, but when it's like clutch time, like that's when you need to perform. And I think that's what they're looking for when they come to our programs, like the ability to perform in the clutch when they're without breath, and that's a hard environment to put people into without the water.
Yeah. And we have like, for example, we have this week Joe Musgrove, who's the starting pitcher for the Padres. He hit last season he threw a no-hitter, and that was the first no-hitter ever for the Padres. And and on Wednesday with us he hit a 4-minute breath hold and underwater, and he's been working on that for like 3 months with us. And so he hit it, and he was like, so whenever we have someone that has a breakthrough like that, we always want to get their feedback afterwards. And so he said that, it being able to work through his mind and see where the traps, when the distractions come in and the traps, and being able to eliminate those and maintain his focus and maintain his performance, that being like the work that he did to be able to hit that 4-minute, has really like taught him a lot about how he can control his mind, control his emotions, and really flow through this season differently. But besides that, like a huge feedback point that we get from everybody is the community aspect of it. Like even Joe, after that, he's like, I just love being around because, they're at a session with all these different individuals. And some of them are lower performing, athletes or in the water or whatever, but everybody is learning off the highest performing person is learning off the lowest performing person, and everybody's putting in the effort to learn from each other. And it creates this really cool, we call it a no flex zone culture and environment. But the community is like, I mean, that's the big why, for us.
Well, we've experienced it being in the military and in some of the schools we went to, the shared suck. Like there's something to be said about when you share, you have a communal suck. Like it just brings people together. People enjoy it. I think that's what, is making your programming and your pool sessions popular. It's what made CrossFit popular. And it continues. And I think there's something that's deep rooted in that. Going back to something that you said about, him taking 3 months to get a 4-minute breath hold. Like, what did he start at roundabout?
118.
So he started at a 118, which is still probably for a lot of people a decent breath hold. And then in 3 months, you guys took him to 4 minutes, or the coaching and then him putting in the work took him to 4 minutes in 3 months. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of breakthroughs and breakdowns within that, for a high performing athlete that is like, this is like top of the food chain athlete that like feels wakes up every morning and feels like I have to get to the top of the mountain, like fast, or I gotta get to that next level. I got to get to the next level. And so we had NBC come out to do like a little thing on us at the end of last year. And that was the last session of the year. And he did a 3-minute, 31-second breath hold, like on camera. And that was his biggest one that he did. And then he took a couple of weeks off. He came for the holiday. We were off for a few weeks. We came back in January, and he came back. He was recovering from being sick. He hit like a 2-minute, then the next week he hit like a 2:45. And then the next week he hit like a 3-minute. And he was like in breakdown almost, because he was so attached to that 3:31 time that he had. So he had to work through that and kind of break down on that, and then realize that he has to let go of that. It's almost like letting go of that no-hitter game that he had, is what he was saying. Like he has to let go of the attachment and the that almost puts you into a low performing mode, because it's like fight or flight. You're like, I have to do this. And then that's a different zone than whenever you come in and you're confident. You're like, I got this, you know?
Yeah, like I said, and that, you're just talking about one of your athletes, Don. I know you guys have got a ton more, and I'm definitely not trying to get you guys to name drop, because that's not the goal. But I mean, I just think that it shows that when you're having these pro baseball players, these pro UFC fighters that are, I mean, all these folks are operating at the highest level in their game, and then they're still coming to you guys and they're making even more gains. I guess I appreciate, you're talking about the Chiefs and the Bills, and it was funny to see the Whoop talking about, hey, Mahomes' resting heart rate was, it was insane. And they're just, and some folks are breathing heavy, some of the bigger boys are breathing heavy, but you saw him and he was cool, calm, collected, leading, never breathing hard, nothing.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. But
also for anyone listening, like, it's really good to have a fitness tracker. Like that has really increased everyone's performance around us that's tracking their fitness. When we started the research that Don was talking about, like, so because Patrick Mahomes has a Whoop and everybody's tracking his data, like that encourages him to have the highest performance that he has. So I don't know what the saying, you can't measure what you don't manage or whatever, but basically start to measure your analytics and your performance, and then you can start to drive that up.
Yeah. It was, it's funny you say that, because before I got the Whoop, I was like, why am I going to spend the money to get this thing? Is it really worth it? Which it is worth it if you follow it. Like if you actually pay attention to the data and the analytics of it, and you go, okay, well, I only recovered, 50% today. I probably need to pay attention to that, even if I feel fantastic. And vice versa. There are times where I feel like absolutely, I feel terrible. Like I didn't sleep very well, but I'm in the green, like very high in the green. And then I start putting in work and I'm like, okay, actually I do feel a lot better. So paying attention to the data does work.
Yeah. And one pro tip on the Whoops is that if you're going to use the Whoop in the pool, you got to get an extra piece of gear. They call it the hydro strap, and Whoop sells it, but I'm sure there's probably some knockoffs by now, but it's like a strap that you put around the Whoop, because if you just start breaking through the water, it's going to come loose. And
it'll fold and that kind of stuff. Yeah. How long are your pool sessions generally?
Anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, unless it's like a instructor course, and then that's 8 hours on average. And then, different events for teams or organizations that are modified.
Okay. So you guys will do team kind of things as well then, huh?
We do it all. We do little kids' birthday parties. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you should.
Yeah.
No, we do some stuff for like fire departments, SWAT teams, and stuff like that. And those programs are like 3 to 4 hours, helping their water confidence, or if they're trying to get the mental aspect of it or the water confidence side.
So what are you seeing from somebody who, essentially has never been in the pool to now they're effective and they're confident and they could save themselves, they could save someone else as well. Like what's that timeline? I know it, and that's a terrible question because, hey, it depends on how many times they attend and how much work they're willing to put in. But generally speaking,
yeah, that's a great question. So from the non-swimmer to being comfortable in the water to play the sport, because when we have people come to the pool, we always run a screener just to make sure they're performing at a specific level. And if they're not, then that's okay. Then we'll work on them, helping them through the screener. So it's a 10-minute water tread, a 25-meter underwater swim, 25-meter brick tow with carrying a 10-pound brick, and then a mask or a goggle retrieval down at the deep end of the pool. So we ran an introduction session. So it was probably 25 non-swimmers, parents, in Los Alamitos, and it was kind of the demographics of people out there. But within 3 weeks, they were all able to pass the screener, and on the 4th week, they're able to carry each other through the water, like doing buddy drags or whatever through the water. So in 4 weeks is probably typical. Our research, we ran it for 6-week programs, and that's where we've seen the most gains of people coming in, not performing as where they should be. And then at 6 weeks, they're like, holy shit, I can swim. I can hold my breath for 2 minutes or whatever that is. So,
and then on the research that they're doing, we have all the surveys on the front end before they start training with us. So we get a good look at how they're performing, in their life. And then we run them, and then we track their data for 4 to 6 weeks through the research for training with us once a week. And then on the back end, we do all the same surveys. And so on average for those first 40 participants, we saw that the biggest statistic that we saw was anxiety was reduced by 38% on average. So 38% anxiety dropped for those participants.
As in just overall anxiety or anxiety about being in the pool?
Overall anxiety. Yeah. So that's why, and so we're doubling down on individuals. Our big thing is impact, global impact. How can we make the most impact? So individuals that under a high amount of stress, we love to, connect them into the programming, et cetera. But, part of it is that we have this safe training environment that we have created that we bring people into. But once you go into the water and you go underwater, you're in a survival situation within your mind, because as a human, you have a survival mechanism in your brain that tells you that you need air. And it's called the mammalian dive reflex. And so as soon as you go underwater, that's why some people feel panicked, because they don't understand what's happening. But once you can understand what's happening, it's like when your check engine light comes on or your tire pressure light comes on or whatever, when it's cold or whatever. And you're like, okay, cool. My car's working. I understand that. My tires aren't blown out. My engine isn't about to explode. It's just, I need an oil change or whatever. Check. So when you go underwater, you're going to have that signal go off that you need air, and you're going to be it's an opportunity to really learn about yourself. It's an opportunity to engage mental focus and really practice focus, because you're focusing beyond that alarm that's going off. So it's going off. I need air. I need air. I need air. And if we didn't have that, then everybody would be face down in the pool, or in the ocean. That's a positive. So learning to work with it instead of resisting it is the key. But yeah, I feel like a lot of that anxiety is reduced, and people, and other than that too, a lot of people have even myself have a lot of anxiety with the water, so every time that you get in, it's like a healing therapeutic, thing that reduces anxiety, that that improves your mental health, and all of that.
Well, I mean, it's just like normal working out too. If you go train in the gym, you go out for runs, it's going to help your anxiety. It's going to help your overall health. But I think it's probably multiplied more just because there are a lot of people that are scared of the water. There are a lot of people that like, there's no way I'm getting in the ocean. I'm getting in a pool. I don't know how to swim. I'm scared. Like, and the fact that that study is showing that much anxiety is lost just by doing some of these programs that you guys are providing. Plus the fact, I mean, if you take the last 2 years of what we've happened or what we've been going through in terms of COVID, like with this, a lot more sedentary lifestyle, I mean, whether it's in adults or whether it's in kids or probably both, there's, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, lacking of social development and that kind of stuff. And to be able to essentially throw somebody in the pool and make, you said 40%, I mean, that's almost half of that anxiety going away. That's 30. Incredible.
Yeah.
And that's not your numbers. That's, you said ASU's doing it, right, Don?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a white paper research study, IRB approved. So yeah, that's the data.
Man, that's incredible. It really is. So you guys are doing fantastic work. So are you guys going to be expanding? I know you guys are predominantly West Coast and then you've got your affiliates. Are there folks out on the East Coast and kind of the Southeast that are, your Tampa, Orlando, that kind of areas?
Yeah, we're definitely trying to head out there, and we have some locations and some people interested in, especially Miami, in like the Destin area, as well as Tampa. So if anyone listening is interested, hit us up, and then we'll make it happen out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, in Florida's not really closed down. There's plenty of pools in Florida.
Yeah.
I stepped on you, Prime. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying that we're like, our big initiative this year is national expansion. So we've broken through a lot of the obstacles from COVID and all the other BS from the last couple of years. So any key cities and key individuals that start to light up with the demand signal, we're in Austin, we're building in San Antonio, we're in Vegas, we're in Arizona, and so all these key cities, if you're in a key city and you're interested in starting a program or getting involved, especially individuals that are veterans or whatever, or, people that, are looking for something that will add purpose and give them, something to put their energy towards that's going to be fulfilling. That's not a 9 to 5, definitely hit us up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So one of the things, because I know we all have hard outs right now, but we've got a couple minutes still. Our demographic, and I know that you guys get some people that listen to us, but our demographic is anywhere between 15 and 35 years of age, and they're folks that are trying to come to the military. Most of them are trying to come into Air Force Special Warfare, but we do get some NSW dudes, some MARSOC dudes, and Green Beret types, right? That want to be. So like we like to do. Hey, what's your advice? And since we got both of you on, and with both of your backgrounds, you guys can each provide some sound advice. So Don, I want to head over to you. Like for those, 18 to 35-year-olds, what is one or two pieces of advice that you would give them as they're training to come in and do a job like Navy SEAL, Marine Raider, Air Force Combat Controller, PJSR?
Yeah, the biggest thing is your physical abilities should already be there. Like if you're going to think about the selection, if you're trying to go to NSW or anything like that, like your physical capabilities already has to be there. So I don't even want to talk about that. Like there's so many programs out there that you can follow that you can get your bodies there. But for the mental aspect of it, stress management, decision-making process is the biggest thing. And taking a second to make a decision and coming up with the most different courses of actions possible is always the best way. And, or how can I rephrase this? Like in the decision-making process, you always want to make sure that you come up with different options for yourself and then pick the best one. Because if you're just reacting and you're just doing one thing under stress, then you're just going to pick one decision. But if you have two different options, you're able to pick the best decisions out of those. So take a second, think about the problem, develop different courses of actions, and then pick the best one, always.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Prime? Oh, he's muted. He muted himself.
I was saying good one, Don. So like, first I want to give you guys a shout out. I really love what you guys do. You're making a huge impact. I know you've been telling us you are as well. And I really seen it firsthand, because when especially at the Arizona sessions that I've gone to, when I've traveled to Arizona and done pool sessions, we have, however many people show up, there's always a few that come that say, hey, I heard the One's Ready podcast, and, that's why I'm here, whatever. And like, they've been great. So we love that. Also in Vegas, what's the Air Force Base that's outside of
Nellis?
Vegas? What's that?
Is that about Nellis Air Force Base?
Yes. So again, like, always get amazing individuals that, coming into the Vegas sessions from that have heard us on One's Ready. So we really appreciate that. So two things, like, one is obstacle equals opportunity, and just anytime that you have a challenge in front of you, looking at it as an opportunity and not a threat, and really a lot of like, looking back at our training in Raiders and all the things, like, just I always like had my finger on the pulse of like everybody that was quitting, and like seeing everything, and why. And then, all of the athletes that we train with, the UFC fighters and all the different Olympians and all these different people that have these challenges, and then they go and do it. And it's like, why did this one perform and why did this one not perform? And so the biggest thing for your audience that it goes back to is, I heard General McChrystal say one time that they spent a ton of money doing research to see why there's so much of a drop off of candidates in the soft pipelines. And they said that the biggest feedback that they got was that the individuals that graduated, that made it through the soft pipelines, that they had 100% decided in their mind before they started that they were going to make it through no matter what, right? It's like you're about to go up the craziest staircase you've ever imagined in your life. And so you don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know what any of the stairs are going to be like, but you say, hey, I don't care. I know I'm going to make it to the end no matter what. And what carries you through that, for me, from my perspective, is your why. What's your why? So for me, I wanted to make my grandparents proud, right? So there's no amount of bad weather. There's no amount of food depth. There's no amount of instructors disrespecting or any type of other thing that would happen that normally I would go off. There's none of that would affect me, because I had a strong why and I made up my mind before. And so that's kind of where, but
I'm glad I went first.
Yeah, you gonna follow that? I'm sitting here in my mind going, okay, do I just end on what Prime said because that was so good, or do I try and wrap it up and say something? But man, you got me. I guess the only thing I could add to that, and it kind of builds on that, is one thing that we see is that I think a lot of people that end up quitting or not making it is because they get inside their own mind and they start overthinking things, and then it's like a snowball effect. That one doubt or that one little thing that's like, oh, I'm kind of scared of that one thing, and then it just starts compounding over, and it just gets this overwhelming monster, and it's like, you know what, I'm out.
Yeah.
But
and with that, like, I mean, you can't do it by yourself. Like, you got that's a big part of it, is like surrendering your ego and surrendering like that it's you as an individual. Because I went through all my training with Don, and I could tell you, if I didn't have Don and one of our other buddies and the other people that were like directly around me, that after, when we went through, our hell week and whatever, and you start to lose your mind after so many days with no sleep that you go unconscious. And they're like, hey, don't worry, man, I got you. I'm going to get you like until you snap out of it. And then the vice versa, like, and then having that support system around you that, for accountability, but also to support you in hey, like, you know, hey, here, man, your fin fell off your pack coming off the bus. Here you go, you know, all that stuff.
That's just being a good teammate right there.
Yeah, but you need that. You can't, I think a lot of individuals that fail, they go in and they try to do it on their own. And like, you know, that's not the formula.
Yeah. Generally does not work out well for you if you try and go at it alone.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, definitely appreciate you coming back on. Don, give me, I'm go to each one of you. What's your social media?
It's 2 D's, 3 O's, 4 N's. Don.
What about you, Prime?
Yeah, my Instagram is primetime, and then with 2 I's on time, and then my email. We mentor a whole bunch of kids that are going in, and we also mentor veterans that are coming out. So if you guys need any support or have any questions or anything, feel free to hit us up. My email is prime@utlnation.com, like the sport utlnation.com. And then my phone number is 956-224-0055.
I guess you're not kidding. You're going to give out your number like that. All right, cool.
Yeah, just let me know that it's from the One's Ready podcast and let me know what you're looking for, and I'll get back to you when able.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, again, thanks for coming on. If you guys aren't following them, go check them out on social media, on Instagram. They're doing great stuff, and there's a whole bunch of great clips and even some breathing techniques that you can garner from that. And then 4 ways that you guys can check out Deepend Fitness. You got their website, you got their socials, you got their book that they've got, and now they've got an app. And go visit and endure a pool session and make yourself better. And we're out here. Train hard.